Welcome to Pattern and Craft. I'm Courtney, and in today's video I'm going to demonstrate how to make this beautiful crochet snowflake. I will also have tutorials for this one, and I will include the links in the description of this video. If you notice, all three of these have the same center, this little star, and that is created with the first two rounds, which is the same for all three. And the following rounds are a little bit different so that you get a different shape and size. I will be releasing this as a single pattern that you can purchase. Of course, you can watch the videos for free, and I will do a video on each of the designs, and there will be a link in the description. I will release all the videos at the same time, so if you finish this video and want to try one of the others, it will already be available for you. Also, if you've already watched one of the other videos for a different snowflake and you've already memorized the first two rounds and don't need to see those again, then you can jump ahead to this timestamp. To make this, I'll be using a 3.5mm or size E crochet hook, and I'll be using Cotton Fair yarn. This is my favorite yarn for making these snowflakes. It is a cotton acrylic blend, a number 2 fine yarn. I like it because it has good stitch definition, and it's also a little lighter than cotton would be. Acrylic's a little bit lighter. Cotton has good structure, and the combo of the two is a nice blend for making these snowflakes. But go ahead and use any similar yarn that you prefer. This is a great little project for using up leftovers, and they make great holiday decorations. Here you can see that I have them chained together to form a little garland. And of course you could make this as large or as long as you want. I mostly tend to use them for Christmas tree ornaments, and I also include them with my holiday cards. When I send my Christmas cards out, I'll just tuck one of these inside. They're light enough and small enough to fit inside a standard greeting card. You could also use these to jazz up a gift bag or a wrapped package. You can adorn a window. So I'm going to show you how to make these. They're really fun. They come together quickly, and they make a great winter decoration and a great last minute gift. Now, I will be referring to a pattern chart in this video. If you don't like to follow pattern charts, that's fine. Just follow along with the steps, or you can get the written pattern, which has everything written out. I just like to include a chart in my patterns and refer to it in my videos sometimes because it gives you a visual of what we're going to be doing. So for round one, we're going to start with a magic ring. Of course, you can start with a different ring start if you prefer something different. We're going to chain one, and then we're going to do a single crochet, chain two, single crochet, chain two, single crochet, chain two, all the way around until we have 6 single crochets into the magic ring, each separated by a chain two. And then we're going to close the round by slip stitching into this first single crochet that we created. That is the pattern for round one. I will demonstrate that now. All right, to get started, we need to create a magic ring. If you do not like making a magic ring, you can use any other center ring start that you prefer. I'm going to demo the magic ring. I like to hold the cut end of my yarn with these 2 fingers, and then put my other fingers this way, and I wrap the working yarn over, behind, and over again to create an X, and I hold the yarn with my thumb, and then I go under the top right leg, over the top left leg, and I pull that leg through and twist, and then yarn over, reposition while I hold everything with my index finger and pull that loop through. That creates a chain one that also secures my magic ring. I can take this tail and I can pull on it to make the ring any size that I want. And I'm just going to leave it about that big to work into for the first round. All right, we're ready to go. We have our magic ring. We have a chain one, and it's time to do round one, which is single crochet into the ring and chain two. 1, 2. We're going to repeat that 5 more times for a total of 6. So single crochet into the ring, chain 2, 1 and 2. Single crochet into the ring, chain 2, 1, 2, single crochet, chain 2. And we're going to do that till we have 6 single crochets, each separated by a chain 2 and ending with a chain 2. I'm going to double check because I lost count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets, so I need one more. Single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2. Okay, that's all the stitches we need for round 1, and now we can pull this ring tight by pulling on the tail here, and that just cinches all of that tight and closed. And we do want to close the round by going back into this first single crochet of the round here, and we're going to insert our hook and make a slip stitch into that first single crochet there that we started the round with, and just pull up a loop and pull through for a slip stitch, and that secures the first round. And it does look sort of like a little hexagon. Each of these points is where we did our chain 2, and each of these valleys is where we have a single crochet. So there should be 6 points of our little hexagon here for round 1. Okay, we've completed round 1. Now let's go over what we're going to do in round 2. So for round 2, we are going to go from having slip stitched into this first single crochet, and we're going to want to slip stitch into the chain space here right next to that stitch, because we want to work out of this chain space, not out of the stitch. So just slip stitch into the chain space, and then we want to create double crochets 2 together here. You can see these are those stitches going all the way around, but the very first one we're working from the bottom instead of the top like you normally work a stitch. So we're just going to chain 2 to represent the first leg of that double crochet 2 together. Then we're going to make the second half of this double crochet 2 together into the next chain space over. So we start it here and then we finish it in the next chain space. Then we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains, and then make a normal double crochet 2 together where we're working from the top. So we're going to make that first partial double crochet stitch into the same chain space we just worked into, and then we'll make another partial double crochet stitch into the next chain space over, and then we will join those 2 stitches. Then we'll chain 5 and then repeat that all the way around until we've created 6 double crochet 2 together, each separated by a chain 5, and then we'll just slip stitch into the top of that first stitch to close the round. And I will go ahead and demo how to do that right now. All right, for round 2, we want to work from this chain space here. Right now we're in one of the valleys, so we want to do a slip stitch into that little corner chain space there. And that gets us set up for starting round 2. And in round 2, we're doing double crochet 2 together with chains in between. So for the first leg of our first double crochet 2 together, we need to chain 2 because we're working from the bottom. Then we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the next point over the next chain space. To make the second half of that stitch, we're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have both stitches on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook. So that creates basically 2 stitches joined into one. We have one leg in this point of our hexagon, one leg in the next point over. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and for the next stitch, we want to create a double crochet 2 together, and we're going to yarn over and we're going to work back into the same chain space that we just worked the second half of the previous stitch into. We want to insert our hook in that same spot, pull up a loop and yarn over and pull through 2. But that's where we want to stop. We're making a double crochet stitch, but we're only making the first portion of it. Normally we would yarn over and pull through 2 again for the rest of the double crochet, but we just want to make that first half of the stitch. Now we want to make another partial double crochet, and now we want to jump to the next point on our hexagon, so the next chain space over, and we want to insert our hook there, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only, and that creates another partial double crochet stitch. Now we can yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook to join those 2 stitches together into one at the top. So we have one leg in one chain space, one leg in the other, and the top of the stitch is joined as one. Now chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a pretty big chain space we'll work into on the next round, and we're going to repeat what we just did. So yarn over, insert your hook in the same spot that we just worked into, make a partial double crochet stitch, so just pull through 2, then yarn over and go into the next chain space, so the next point on our hexagon, and make a partial double crochet stitch. And now we have 2 partial double crochet stitches, one worked into this chain space and one worked into this next one. Yarn over, pull through all loops, and now we've joined those stitches together. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into the same chain space, make the first half of our double crochet 2 together. If you need to double check, it's right there where the bottom of this stitch is. That's where we go into first. Right there, and then we work the next partial double crochet into the next chain space over. Like that. And then we yarn over and pull through all loops to join. We need to do that 2 more times because you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of our little star points created, and we need 6 total. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make a partial double crochet in the same spot, and then a partial double crochet in the next chain space over, yarn over, pull through all, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and do that one more time where we work the first part of our double crochet 2 together into that same chain space. And now we're going to work into the next chain space, and you'll see that first stitch is coming out of it. So we're ending at the same place we started with our last partial double crochet stitch. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all loops to create that double crochet 2 together. We need to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to create that last chain space, and now we slip stitch into the first stitch to the top of the first stitch to close that round. So right in here, we're going to insert our hook and do a slip stitch there to secure the round. So this completes the first 2 rounds of the snowflake. This is the center we'll have for all 3 of these designs. You can see we've created a little star here, a 6-pointed star, and we have 6 chain spaces all around that we'll be working into on the following rounds. Okay, we finished round 2. Here's where this snowflake differs from the others. We're going to start round 3 now. Round 3 begins from where we just slip stitched into this stitch. We're going to make a little chain 1 now. This does not count as a stitch, it just gets us to the level where we want to start stitching from, and we're going to do 3 single crochets into this chain space. Then we're going to chain 4, and make 3 more single crochets into that same chain space and chain 1. And we're going to continue that same pattern all the way around. 3 single crochet, chain 4, 3 single crochet into this chain space, chain 1, 3 single crochet, chain 4, 3 single crochet, chain 1. And we're going to do that all the way around until we've done it 6 times. On the last one, we don't chain 1, we're actually going to do a single crochet into this single crochet. And that will close the round and also get us set up for starting the next round. I'll go ahead and demo this now. Okay, we've completed rounds 1 and 2. We're ready to do round 3 of this snowflake. So we've just slip stitched into the top of this stitch. Now we need to make a chain 1. This does not count as a stitch, it just gets us started for this round. Now we're going to make 3 single crochet into this chain space here. So 1, 2, and 3. And we want that to take up about half of the chain space. And we will need to shift over our stitches a little bit, that's fine. Now we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This will create a loop that we can work into in the next round. And we want to do 3 more single crochet into this chain space here. 1, 2, and 3. Now we are going to chain 1 here before we start the next chain space. We just want a little chain 1 there because we're going to work into that spot in the next round as well. So we're moving over to the next chain space now, and we want to do the same thing. We want to work 3 single crochet. Usually after my first single crochet, I like to hold the chain and kind of shove that stitch over a little bit so it's at the very edge of the chain space. I'm going to go ahead now and make the other 2 single crochet and then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and go ahead and work 3 more single crochet into that same chain space. 1, 2, 3, and then don't forget the chain 1. So that creates a little loop at the corner and a little spot at the inside corner of each of these, which we will work into in the next round. Now go ahead and work all the way around into the next 4 chain spaces, and I'll meet you back here when you're done with that. Okay, we've finished up the round now. We've worked into each of the chain spaces. Now to close the round, we're not going to slip stitch. We're actually going to do a single crochet back into the first stitch of the round. That just gives us a nice little spot to work into and gets us started on round 4. So just insert our hook into that first stitch and single crochet. That finishes round 3. Okay, we finished round 3. Time to do round 4 and finish our snowflake. So we ended with the single crochet here into the first stitch. And now we are going to create 2 double crochet into this little chain 4 chain space here. Then we're going to chain 2, 2 more double crochet into the chain space, chain 2, 2 more double crochet into the chain space, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet into the chain space. So we have 2, 2, 2, 2, so a total of 8, but every 2 stitches we're going to do a chain 2, which creates a corner in these 3 areas. Next we will single crochet into this chain space here twice. So we'll single crochet and single crochet into this little chain space that we created in the previous round. Then we'll repeat that same pattern here. We'll do 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet into this chain 4 chain space. And then we'll make 2 single crochet into this chain space here. We'll repeat that all the way around, and then we will end with a single crochet into this little spot here between these two stitches, and then a slip stitch into the last stitch of the previous round. And then our snowflake will be complete. And I'll go ahead, of course, and give you the demo for that now. All right, now we're going to do round 4. This is the final round. And we're going to do 2 double crochet into this little loop at the corner. So 1 and 2 double crochet. And most likely you'll need to kind of grab your little loop and shove those stitches over to get them to the start of the loop instead of somewhere in the middle, just to make room for the rest of the stitches we need to make into there. Now we're going to chain 2 to make a corner, and we're going to make 2 more double crochet into this loop. 1 and 2. Then we're going to make another chain 2 and 2 more double crochet. 1 and 2. And again, shift your stitches over to make room. Chain 2 for a corner and 2 more double crochet into the loop. So here you can see we have 4 sets of 2 double crochet going into this little loop. Each are separated by a chain 2, which creates 3 little corners that gives us the shape of a snowflake petal. And now we're going to work into that little chain 1 space that we made on the previous round right in here, right at the top of that stitch. We're going to do 2 single crochets into there. 1 and 2. So you can see we worked those 2 single crochets into that little spot there, and that secures down these stitches and gets us ready to start the next little petal, or whatever you want to call this shape. So I'll go over that one more time. We're going to do 2 double crochet into this loop here, this little chain 4 loop. 1 and 2 double crochet. Here is where I like to kind of snug down the stitches by holding the chain and shoving the stitches over. Chain 2 for a corner. 2 more double crochet into the loop. 1 and 2. Chain 2 for another corner. 1, 2. 2 more double crochet. 1 and 2. And you can see we only have 1, 2, 3 groups of 2 double crochet so far. We need to have 4. So, and we want 3 corners. We have 1 and 2. So we have to do 1 more corner. So chain 2 and make our last 2 double crochet into the loop. 1 and 2. So that gives us our little shape here that has 3 corners and 4 sets of 2 double crochet into the loop. And now into this little spot here, into that chain 1 chain space, we're going to make 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Just like that. All right, I want you to continue all the way around, working into each of these little loops and securing with our 2 single crochet in between until we get to this point here. I'll meet you back after we've finished our last of our double crochets into this loop. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, I've worked my way around and I'm just doing my last 2 double crochet into the loop. 1 and 2. And here, all we need to do is one single crochet into this space here because we already have one where we started the round. So we just want to do a single crochet there to finish the round. And you're going to want to pull out your loop and cut your tail, but leave a little bit of extra tail because we want to weave in our ends in a way that kind of cleans up the look of our snowflake. As you can see right now, it's not perfectly flat. We can improve the shape just by hand blocking it really quickly, but it could look a little bit better. So I'm going to show you how to improve that. We're just going to pull that loop all the way out of that single crochet out the top. We don't have to do the chain one or make a knot or anything. We just pull it straight out of the top of that stitch. And then we're going to thread our tail onto a tapestry needle, which is blunt at the tip and has a large enough eye for our yarn. And we're going to just kind of needle finish this. So we're going to go into our work and secure down that stitch. And then I like to go back through the center of that stitch as well. Don't catch your loop of yarn though. And that makes sort of an invisible finish. See that? So it's pretty invisible. I just went from the top of the stitch through here and then back down through the top of that stitch. Now we want to go to the back of our work and we're going to want to work our tail over to this point here and then work into these stitches. We're just going to thread our yarn through those bottoms of the stitches that are going around that chain space. And we're going to do that all the way around so that it just kind of tightens everything up. I'm going to get there by just putting my needle through whatever stitches are on the way to that spot. Don't pull too tight, you don't want to cinch everything. All right, I'm where I want to be, so I need to go through these stitches here at the outside edge of this chain space. So I want to insert my needle into the bottoms of those stitches, just the loops at the bottom of the stitch, which are going around that chain space there. And I'm just going to pull my yarn through and not pull it super tight, but pull it snug. And then I'm going to go through the rest of those stitches that way. And then I'm going to go into the next few in the next chain space or this open area, the stitches along the outside edge. Just going to weave my yarn needle through there and pull, not tight, don't cinch it, but pull it so that it's snug. And that will just tighten up this area a little bit to make it look a little cleaner and tidier and flatter. I'm just going to go through those stitches, pull my yarn, not too tight, just enough to take up any slack in these stitches. It's kind of making our snowflake not quite lay flat. And just keep going all the way around, and I will finish doing this off camera because I'm not sure it's not all that interesting, but I'll show you what it looks like when we get back to the start. Okay, I've woven my yarn tail all the way around, and you can see now this area is just a little bit tidier and less loose and more flat. When we flatten it out, it looks a lot better in its shape. And then, of course, we can improve this shape even more by blocking. I prefer to wet block, or you can also steam block. And that would just make this shape a little bit more improved. To steam block, you'll just lay it on a surface that's heat resistant and use a garment steamer and just steam it to get rid of any kind of wrinkles or wonky spots. To wet block, you can soak it in warm water for about 10 minutes, pull it out, dab away the excess water with a towel, and sort of reshape everything, lay it nice and flat. You can even pin it and then let it air dry, and that will improve the shape as well. Or you can just go with it as it is off the hook. I think it looks pretty good as is. And also we should weave in this other end here. So to weave in that center tail, we want to reinforce our magic ring. We don't want to go back into the stitch that this yarn's coming out of, or we'll undo our magic ring, which we do not want to do that. So we want to go the other direction, which in this case is clockwise, and just go through those stitches maybe one more time to reinforce the center and to hide our tail a little bit. It's already been worked over once, so we just need to kind of go through the stitches one more time to make sure it's not going to come undone. You don't need to do any knots or anything. It'll be perfectly fine just weaving in the ends like so. And we can cut off our tails. So here is our finished snowflake, and to make this into a Christmas ornament, we can add a loop of thread or a pretty ribbon, or you can make a loop with a crochet chain, whatever you want to use to hang your ornament with. Or you can also create a garland as I showed in the beginning of the video. You can simply make a crochet chain and then slip stitch into the corner of your snowflake and then continue with the crochet chain to create a garland. So this is the Snowflake B from my trio of snowflakes that I will be releasing 3 videos for and 1 pattern for. So if you do get the pattern, you get the directions and instructions for all 3, and it includes step-by-step instructions, written pattern, pattern chart, and photos of each step. Or of course, you can always refer back to these videos as many times as you need. I hope you try out this crochet snowflake. If you do, I would love to see your version. So if you post it to Instagram, tag me at Pattern and Craft. And also don't forget to check the description for links to my pattern shop and any discount codes that I usually have a 20% off code down there. You can also support the channel by liking the video and subscribing and leaving a comment or sharing the video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a good winter, a good holiday, and happy crafting!